Down in Atlanta where rhythm drums strong, riders unite after a whole year gone. Heritage and history blended so sweet, a family reunion beat by beat.
Welcome, Dominic. How are you?
I am well today, man. I'm good. How about you, man?
I'm doing great. So, first of all, what brought you to Black Writers Weekend?
Man, we often hear about things, in Atlanta going on, and I just knew Black Writers Weekend was one of those things I wanted to be a part of. As a podcaster, but who's writes scripts for their podcast, it felt important for me to be here and just kind of check out the vibe and stuff like that. Right? I know most people out here like writing books and ghostwriting and stuff like that, but I really think writing and podcasting is something that is going to continue to grow, and I wanted to be part of that experience and see what other Black writers are doing and see how that can influence my work and everything that I do.
Yeah, it's all relative. It's all
100%.
Yeah, that's dope, man. So you have a podcast that's won multiple awards, Black is America, which is super dope. And now you've embarked on a new podcast.
Yeah.
Mental Health Rewritten.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about both of those projects.
Yeah, so Black is America started from like a Hollywood producer saying all stories that needed to be told have already been told. And being part of the Black diaspora, I'm like, no, that's not true, right? So Black is America is that answer to that, that phrase that man, said or whatever. And honestly, the idea is just to highlight little known African American figures and stories to help share and let people know that like the story of America without Black America is incomplete. You can't tell the story of America without us, right? And I wanted to make sure that is conveyed in the work. So from making sure that, we not only get you invested in the person that we're highlighting, but also highlighting what they actually did was super important. And I didn't want to have another Black history podcast that just stated, dates and facts and figures and stuff like that. I really wanted to give a cinematic experience, and honestly, it all starts from the writing part of it. So yeah.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, appreciate
that. All right, and let's talk about Mental Health Rewritten.
Yeah, so this is my new baby. When when you have multiple projects, they're all your babies. So this is the newest baby, in the family. But Mental Health Rewritten is my answer to kind of rewrite the conversation around mental health, right? A lot of times we have a lot of good awareness, right? Awareness about trauma, awareness about addiction, awareness about many things. But unfortunately, I think that awareness has become a bit trendy, right? So where when we talk about trauma, you always talk about trauma, sometimes it loses its meaning, right? And so what I want to do with Mental Health Rewritten is go back to not only the foundational pieces of what trauma is or what addiction is or what major depressive disorder is and stuff like that. And we do that being anchored in the DSM-5 and the ICD-11. These are two items that are used by clinicians around the world. The ICD-11, by the World Health Organization, but also the DSM-5 by the American Psychiatric Association here in the United States to help diagnose these things, right? But in order to do that, if I just read off a textbook, that's not going to be palatable to the audience, right? So that's where the narrative arc of the stories that I tell in Mental Health Rewritten comes in, right? So yeah, I'm going to tell you about major depressive disorder, but you're also going to learn about a fictional person that I make up, right? That's going through this journey, in addition to having clinical insight and also insight from people with lived experiences. And so that is the new project. And one of the cool things I like about Rewritten is that it has what I like to call a 412 format, if you will, right? Or 312 format, if you will. So 3 topic tracks across 12 episodes. So in season 1, we talk about sex, suicide, and then cultural identity. So the first 4 episodes will be revolved around sex. So sex addiction, sexual assault, sexual anorexia, which is something that people have never actually heard of before, right? Right, and then there's also pornography as well. And so talking to people who have been in the sex work industry and things of that nature. So it's been a very unique journey. It just launched this past May to some very good reception. It actually charted on the Apple charts, this and the other. But I think the main thing that people are being receptive to is the fact that they love the narrative arc. It's like you don't see too many people have a mental health show and it's narrative.
Yeah. So that's dope. I mean, all the projects that you have done, that you're working on now, and to see that you're still excited about the work is always a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
And so I asked you offline if you were born and raised in Memphis.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know how much of Memphis shows up in who you are and the creativity that you.
That's a great question. Not many people know this, but how, I don't know if anybody watches professional wrestling, right? Professional wrestling, the wrestlers come out and the music come out. Apparently that started in Memphis.
Nice, okay.
Apparently, right? And so it's just about the flair and the extraness of it all, right? And I think that definitely shows up in my work and in my writing, right? Again, when I write for my shows, I'm always trying to figure out how can I share and have this experience for the listener that's different from anybody else. Because I could tell you the story about the March on Washington from maybe Martin Luther King's perspective, or maybe from a narrator's perspective, right? But what if I gave you that perspective from the person in the crowd, right? Who had to put their money together to even make that trip, right? And the experience they're having from that point, right? We did an episode on Black is America about Ledger Smith, about a gentleman who literally roller skated from Chicago to DC to make it to the march, right? So I want to know those stories, right? So that's just a different perspective, that I try to implement in my work. And also, man, just speaking about, the teachers that I had as a kid growing up, right? Specifically the English teachers, right? I was the classic, man, I'm not writing, I'm not doing this stuff. I'm not reading Where the Red Fern Grows. That's not going to make a difference in my life. And here I am winning awards for writing and podcasting and putting food on the table through writing. So it's funny how that works.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, it's been great talking to you. Tell folks how they can find you, how to listen to the podcast,
Sure.
And any thing you want folks to know about you.
Sure. Well, Talib, thank you so much for doing this. It's always a pleasure to be in community with you. My name's Dominic Lawson. You can find me on Instagram, The Real Dominic Lawson, or on LinkedIn, DOMINIC LAWSON. And please check out Black is America, Mental Health Rewritten, and The B Word, which is also a show I do with my wife as well. You can find that on all major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the things.
All right. Any last words of wisdom?
If you're going to write, if you want to be a writer, write every day. Even if it's not for a book, even if it's for a podcast episode, just write every day. Even if it's something personal, just for you. Maybe it's just a text message or something. Be maybe even a little bit more intentional with the text message even. But that's one of the things I've learned on this journey. If you want to write every day.
Yeah, exercise that creative muscle.
100%.
All right, respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Down in Atlanta where rhythm drums strong, riders unite after a whole year gone. Heritage and history blended so sweet, a family reunion beat by beat. Ink on the page, hearts in a dance, past meets the future at every chance. Creativity flows like a beat so true, a family reunion, this joy is for you. Good vibes all rise and change on the way. We celebrate each other, our spirits play.